Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for Sisu. Now, I've got no idea if I've said that correctly or not, but who cares? This film is a Second World War movie. It basically portrays the decline of the Second World War and follows a very lonely prospector in the middle of the Finnish outback, as it were. And he's prospecting for gold. And as he's leaving a rather rich vein, he comes across some retreating Nazis who are engaging in scorched earth tactics, retreating from the front lines in Finland to return back to defend the motherland. And when he comes across these Nazis, they realize what he has on him and they decide to try and steal his gold. And what they don't understand, what they don't realize, is that he, this unassuming prospector with his horse, his pickaxe, and his trusty, faithful dog, is actually a legendary commando. As you can imagine, this is very much a grindhouse kind of movie, and what we see here on in is effectively a chase movie that turns into a full-blown revenge arc. It's over the top, it's bombastic, it's utterly ludicrous in places, and yet there are elements of really well-grounded sort of World War II based issues, if I can put it as blandly and as simply as that. The plot is extremely lean and thin, I'll give you that. There's not really much to it. The central protagonist, whose name escapes me, says very little. I think he only speaks, to be quite honest, towards the end of the film. Obviously, the rest of the story is portrayed through the eyes of the Nazi officers and these females as well that have been captured by the Nazis and are being taken away for their own nefarious purposes. But this film is ultra violent, ultra gory, and like I said, the plot itself is very, very, very thin. But interesting enough, for me, who's a big fan of war movies and also to some degree westerns as well, this is very much a spaghetti western war movie. It's really interesting. It's an interesting setup, interesting premise. You could literally copy and paste this premise, this story, into a Western setting, and it would work just fine. Minus a few things towards the end, where it just goes absolutely batshit crazy. But yeah, essentially that's the cut and dry of it. I don't really want to go into too much, for spoilers, because this is it's a very lean story. It's a very lean film. It's an hour and a half long, and to be quite honest, I think it finishes on the 85-minute mark. So it's very to the point. Doesn't hang around. Doesn't take too long. Doesn't mince words. Doesn't fanny about, so to speak. It gets on with it. It's very brutal. It's very stylized, hyper stylized. There are a couple of unsettling moments. Some obvious. Plenty of dismemberment and plenty of death, to just put it that way. But again, without spoiling too much, I don't really want to go into what specifically happens, because each moment where this prospector is coming against these Nazi commandos and this 30-strong platoon of retreating soldiers is absolutely bonkers. It really is bonkers. But yeah, it's a very, very good, very, very fun war movie. Will it stand the test of time? Will it live long in the memory of others? I don't think so. I think it's one of those. It is a very much a grindhousey flick. Whether it maintains sort of like a cult status going forward, I hope it does. And I think realistically, in sort of like the release time frame, it's almost as though it's sort of like, what if a John Wick figure was thrust into World War II to fight Nazis? It's that kind of vibe. You get that kind of vibe and sense. And that's what I mean in terms of like grindhouse, where they sort of copied each other and did their own little bits and pieces with horror and gore and violence, that kind of stuff. But it's brilliantly shot. There are some really terrific, fantastic, dark, grisly shots. When you think of those sweeping landscapes in westerns, you get that here, but then there's the fleck of, what's going on around the characters, this war, this scorched earth tactics that the Nazis are using to retreat in order to decimate the populace, decimate the lands, so that they're practically uninhabitable. We get that in this, and we still get those sweeping shots of the landscape, the whistling of trees and the wind. It is fundamentally a Western film set in Finland during the war. It's brilliant. It's brilliant how it's constructed. It's brilliant how it comes across with its vibe. It's brilliant how it maintains an air of simplicity and doesn't ask any questions, doesn't make you ask any questions. What you see is what you get, and what you get is just balls to the wall violence and action of a man who is at the edge of his own existence, really, and he's pushed once more into this mindset of there is no morality. He has nothing else to give, he's got nothing else to lose, so he will do what he needs to do in order to get back, essentially, his gold. And it's an interesting question, the idea of morality in this film, because when we get to the end, there's very little sort of acknowledgement from him that he's done anything good, that he's done anything right. There's very little acknowledgement in terms of these female prisoners that the Nazis have. What happens to them. It's almost everything that happens in the film around his central direct purpose to get his gold back off these Nazis. Everything else around him is circumstantial. It doesn't matter. If he helps, he helps. If he doesn't, you can tell that he doesn't care. He is this hard-nosed commando. He's of a specific mindset, and we get brief flecks in terms of sounds, not quite flashbacks, but sounds, and as though he's hearing things from the past, which infuse his character and give him a bit more depth. But we don't really go too much into that. It's all the Nazi officers talking, saying, "Oh well, the rumour is this is what happened to him, this is what he's done to others, this is what he did to the Russian army, this is what happened." It's all sort of rumour and legend, and the film plays into that really well, and we're not overburdened by anything hard and factual about him. There is still the air of Robin Hood about him, except he keeps all the gold for himself, and that's what he wants. He wants to keep all the gold for himself, and he's pissed off and angry that the Nazis are taking it. There you go. There's not really much more to say without really delving into the spoilers, because like I said, this is fundamentally just a balls to the wall action movie. It gets on with it, there's no hanging around, it's a very brisk pace, and it's over and done before you even realise it. So I'm not really going to talk too much more about it. Suffice to say that I really enjoyed this film. I think it is a very good Friday night, Saturday night, midnight matinee sort of balls to the wall extravaganza of a film that you should watch if you enjoy westerns, if you enjoy war movies, if you enjoy grindhouse flicks. This is a good film to watch. I would highly recommend it. And to be fair, there's nothing really that I could criticise, really, because once the film began, I understood exactly what it was. I understood what it was trying to do. It's not trying to give you any sort of hammering over the head of morality, justice, anything like that we've seen in other war movies that need to be in there, but in this film they don't. But yeah, there you go. I think I'm going to leave this review there. I'm going to give it a very... oh, God. Yeah, I'm going to settle on an 8 out of 10. Very, very enjoyable. Highly recommend it. It is English language throughout a lot. I didn't think it would be. I thought it would be Finnish or German, but it is English language up until a point. There are specific moments later on the film towards the end where it does dive into Finnish. There is the fleck of German in there as well, but the majority of the characters, the German officers, do speak in English. So if you've got any worries about that, which you shouldn't really, subtitles exist. Read, then give it a watch. 100% give it a watch. 8 out of 10. Very, very good film to watch at a time when I'm really struggling to be interested in a lot of the generic crap that's coming out, sequels and the like. This is a good original flick. Give it a watch. 8 out of 10. I'm going to leave the review there. Thank you very much for watching. If If you like this video, please do like it. Leave a comment. Have you seen this film? What did you think? Did you enjoy the pickaxe action? And yeah, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.